What's up, guys? On this week's show,
Godzilla returns,
a new Joker,
and Tom Hardy doesn't understand Venom,
plus dumb shit of the week. All that and more on this episode
of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared, and with me is a empty room. But I did snag us a guest. So, without further ado, we will go into Talking With. One Giant Leap for Geeks proudly presents Talking With. On this episode, we were lucky enough to have a special guest, Nick from Nerd to the Third podcast. Go ahead, Nick, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name's Nick. I'm from Boise, Idaho, 30 years old. I like walks on the beach. I'm married and have one daughter. She's 3 years old, and she's absolutely awesome. And I'm a huge nerd, which is why I created the podcast Nerd to the Third. It's not just about video games. It's video games, movies, nerd culture, tabletop games, comic book club, things like that.
Sweet. Now, I sent you some of the questions that I would talk to you about beforehand, but I made it a special point not to send you all of it because there are some surprise questions at the beginning.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Now, before we begin, we need to place you into some kind of stereotype because this is the internet, and being as this is the internet, you have to be either one stereotype or another, so we have to put you in a box, so to speak. So you ready?
I'm a fat guy in a little coat.
Right, there you go. Okay, so first question, solo or multiplayer?
Ooh, co-op.
Oh, all right, curveball. All right. Family Guy or The Simpsons?
Family Guy, Jesus.
All right. Fair. Netflix or Hulu?
That is a really good one. I'd have to say Netflix because I haven't really seen a lot of the Hulu originals, but a lot of the Netflix originals I can't imagine my life without.
That's fair. Let's see. Cake or pie?
Pie.
Pie. Okay. All right. CG or practical effects?
Oh, practical effects. I'm not 12, okay?
All right. Fair. And final question, ass or titties?
I'm offended by that. That's as long as it's proportional, they need to be about the same. You can't have a, big ass and no titties, or you can't have huge titties and no ass. It has to be proportional. But honestly, I'm kind of a belly guy. You have
Really?
a nice sexy belly
Really?
that.
Okay.
That can sometimes save other portions.
Right, there you go. Okay. All right, so...
You ask these questions with your girlfriend on here? What the hell?
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude. Oh, man. You must haven't heard the Pussy Yogurt episode. So now I'm going to get to the actual questions. I wanted to just kind of... And, I mean, you kind of did it at the beginning as well. But, I mean, I wanted to give you, a kind of a platform to expound a little bit on what your show is about. What are some of the, just highlights or, footnotes that you would like people to know about your show?
Okay. Well, since I already kind of talked about Nerd to the Third, video games, movies, and everything else, I can kind of talk about my production company. My production company is called Threat X3 Productions. You can go to TX3 Productions on Twitter to contact us. And I mean, the philosophy behind Threat X3 Productions was pretty much, everybody has three things that they're really good at. You know, you have your jack of all trades, master of none or whatever, but I really feel like there's always three things that you're really good at. So I am really funny. I can sing really good, and I like to entertain, you know, and so like then my like triple threat was pretty much like video games, comedy, and like singing, or maybe even acting, but then that'd make it a quadruple threat, and that doesn't sound as cool as TX3.
Right.
So, but actually we have a couple of different podcasts. For the longest time we actually tried the whole video YouTube stuff, and it just didn't work out. Not a lot of people were attaching themselves to us. You know, having like an hour-long video, nobody gave a crap about. But then we put that same hour on the podcast form, and then people started latching on a little bit more, which was kind of nice because I've been doing it for like 3 years or something like that. So yeah, we have the Nerd to the Third, which is a little bit more broad. We have Ubi Chat, and Ubi Chat is specifically more about Ubisoft games, and so we talk about past and present games and future games. Obviously, we're super stoked about Division 2, and so our last episode, we actually just talked about like what we're hoping happens with it, which, I mean, spoiler alert, don't be like Destiny 2, and it's pretty much you're set. So,
Right.
And then a new one we just came up with was Walk of the Dead. And that one is off of the new mobile game called The Walking Dead Our World, which the elevator pitch is pretty much Pokemon Go, but with zombies. And so now it's in the Walking Dead universe. You get to go around killing zombies. My personal opinion, it's more of an actual game than it is just an app. Because the tactile feeling of like actually clicking on a zombie's head and you shoot him in the head. And so then you also have to worry about recoil, and you have pistols and rifles. You have heroes that go along on encounters with you. And there's a lot of RPG, you know, things behind it. And so like I have a podcast that's basically supposed to be walk friendly, is what I like to call it, and you know, I have my commentary, but then I also have music so that like you can go for like an hour-long walk and essentially play the game in the background while I'm talking to you, or you're just listening to some dope-ass beats.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's pretty much the company in general. And then we also put stuff on YouTube. We're thinking about doing more, but it was like for right now, it's really like we've nailed down our audio flavor. And so now we're just hoping to bring some of that to our video fidelity.
Nice. Okay, so what would you say made you want to start a production company or a podcast in general? Like, what made you want to start doing this?
Well, that's a super cheesy story. But basically I found out I was going to have a kid, and it was that moment where like, you know, oh, I'm going to have a kid. I'm going to be responsible for something, you know, what am I going to do with my life in a good way? Like I never had a moment where like I super freaked out, but I did have this like kind of, you know, eureka moment where it's like, what am I going to do with my life? And so like I had just gotten done with medical assistant work. So basically, you know, like it's not an RN, it's like below an RN. So I just got done through like a year and a half of school of that. And it's like, I don't want to do this with my life, you know? And so it's like, well, what do I like? I like video games. I love talking about video games. I could talk about video games for hours, and I can talk about movies for hours. And I like being entertaining. I like being funny. You know, I like to entertain, you know? And so it's like, what can I do with that? And so that's kind of the birthplace of that is, you know, I was going to have a kid, and I'm like, you know, I basically want to I want her to grow up. And I want her to be like, you know, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a dancer. And I'm like, you know what? I believe in you. And if you do hard work, you can make your dreams come true, because that's exactly what Daddy did.
No, you're right. That was corny.
Right?
No. That's
Like, you
really-
want
that's
some
really
butter
awesome.
and salt with that?
No, that's actually really inspiring because I went through a similar thing myself. Not necessarily, after I had my child, because that was years ago now. But you do kind of hit a point where it's like, oh, I'm not getting any younger. Like, I'm not necessarily 100% happy with what I'm doing. It's like,
Right.
So why not?
Yeah, you get to a point in your life and you're like, I'm tired of working for other people.
Right.
And
yes.
whether that means that you transition into a managerial, is that a word?
Yeah,
I'm making it a word. Managerial position, or a supervisor position, or you decide, hey, I want to do my own business. That's kind of how it goes usually. Either you progress in your chosen career, and so that's what makes you feel good. And then there's other people who just have that entrepreneurial, spirit. And it's like, I don't want to work for somebody. I don't want somebody telling me what I'm doing wrong, when to do it. And it's like, that's kind of the moment I hit.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's funny because you just kind of give up one boss for another, because you go from being a slave to a manager to being a slave to your audience to a degree.
To a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love you guys. Like, please keep it. But anyway, moving on. What would you say your favorite thing is about podcasting?
I am lucky enough to have a co-host that we can just really feed off of each other, and we can have just fun, and it becomes more of just two guys talking about video games, and we even have, like, at the end of my podcast, we usually have bloopers, and it's usually me being a jackass to him or him doing something to me, and like the way we play off of each other is just so natural. And my favorite part is actually the recording of the podcast, then the anxiety and the depression of actually putting it up and hoping that people like it. That's the part I hate. And it's like, and that unfortunately lasts a lot longer than the actual recording of the podcast.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. You're like watching your stats and your inbox and seeing, it's like, am I going to get hate mail, or people going to download this? Oh, yeah.
Right. Just like last week, I mean, a little inside story or whatever. Just last week, we're like, hey, come over and get me some motherfucking follows. And all of a sudden, I started losing followers. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? My inside brain, the one that, is keeping me from killing myself, is like, what happened? People literally pulled over to the side of the road, like I told them to, click the follow button, but they accidentally unfollowed. Like, that's what I have to keep telling myself.
Well, to be fair, I think everybody kind of got hit like that, because Twitter, I think, went and did some kind of, like, cleanup maintenance and got rid of a lot of, like, old accounts and bots and stuff. Yeah, so I think everybody kind of got hit somewhat.
Oh, okay.
Either
well, that makes me feel good. Thank you.
Or, like I said on my show last week, right after I guested on yours, I was like, well, yeah, he was foolish enough to have me on. So, yeah, you get what you pay for, I guess. So I guess that actually answered, my next question about what would be the thing that you dislike the most about podcasting. And I guess it would be the anxiety-ridden time where you're waiting for, feedback.
Yeah, definitely. That's the hardest part, because, like, unless you are a content creator, like, if you're just somebody who likes to sit there and listen, you're in your car, you're at your job, whatever it is. If you're just that, or you're just somebody who just watches a YouTube video, not knowing what goes into it, and not only that, but, like, you could get, like, literally one thumbs down and it eats at you. You could get 50 thumbs up, but that one thumbs down, it's like, well, what did I do? It's like you genuinely want to know. You want to know, what did I do wrong? What did I say wrong? Is this person being a troll? Should I pay attention to this person, or should I just do my stuff normally? And it's like that anxiety, and that just like, and it's, I feel like people who entertain are also like the most damaged people, because it's like, we just want everybody to be happy, and we just want everybody to be, like in a good mood, and so that's why we throw out the jokes and everything.
Oh yeah, no, that's
Sorry, I'm getting super serious.
no, that is actually that is very profound statement that you just made. No, I would agree that anyone who likes to entertain other people probably has some skeletons in their closet and or issues in their personal life. Like, I don't know why, but it seems like some of the most successful entertainers and shit have the most fucked up lies behind the scenes.
Oh, right.
But anywho, what do you want your audience to take away from your podcast? Like, if I sit down and I download an episode of Nerd to the Third podcast, what should I be taking away from that? What would you like me to take away from it?
Like I said, one of the main reasons I started this was to entertain people. Mm-hmm. I don't ever, as much as I do my little nitpicky things and I complain about certain things or whatever, I always try to do it under the guise of being entertaining.
Sure.
So whether that means that you laugh your ass off or that I tell you something so profound that it just makes you really think, like that's what I'm trying to do. Because otherwise, like, why do it? I mean, if you're not trying to entertain, if you're not trying to like push some kind of boundary, whether it be in your own mind or your audience's, then it's just, there's no point in putting it out there in the universe in the first place.
Yeah, good point. Okay. What would you say, shifting gears here, what would you say is your favorite superhero movie?
That's a good one. For a while it was Winter Soldier. That got taken over by Age of Ultron, which just recently got taken over by Infinity War. And, the obvious reason being that, like, this is a 10-year, this was 10 years in the making. Oh, yeah. And even though there are plenty of things you could, like, pick apart, like, Tony Stark gave up his Iron Man thing, but then he just shows up in the next movie. Like, you could pick apart little things like that, but for the most part, like, this felt like the entire movie just felt like a third act. Like, this is what everything was building up for. And there's a little things here and there that we had to kind of wrap up in order to, like, keep going. But it was a pretty, like, nonstop, just, like, even when people were talking, it was just very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And the stakes were real, because, like, spoiler alert, not everything is sunshine and rainbows in Infinity War.
Oh yeah, right. So, I'm really interested to see how everything plays out after Infinity War, because I would say probably I'm in the same camp as you, that right now, not necessarily all time. Of all time is probably like Spider-Man 2 is probably my favorite, but Infinity War currently is my current favorite, and I'm really interested to see how they're going to wrap all this up, because there's so many theories floating around about time travel and this, that, and the other.
Right.
And I really don't want that because of what you just said about how the stakes were real. Like, this was the first time something's happened to where it's like, oh shit, like, this got serious. Like, okay, like, we're not fucking around anymore. And I don't want it to just be like, oh, we'll just turn back the clock and just undo everything.
I could turn back time.
Exactly. And it's funny too, because fucking this would be my ideal scenario. I don't know if this is how it's going to go down, but ideally I would like them to open up the avenue for, like, alternate dimensions, so then that way they can have a way to, because my theory would be this, and then we'll be done with this question. When Thanos snaps his fingers and kills half the life in the universe, if there are multiple dimensions, then I feel like half of the population on each dimension was, wiped out as well. It would be cool if they could go to these other dimensions and gather back the people who we lost on main Earth and then we have a new Avengers team, or they just collapse all those realities into one. So it's like we can still have those characters be back, but it's not like we brought them back to life. Like, no, Peter Parker
Right,
died.
it doesn't feel cheap.
Right, Peter Parker's dead, but we have a new Peter Parker now. And then to have to watch how he has to deal with assimilating with people that he knows, but not necessarily these versions of them. Like, I think that could be really cool and change the status quo going forward, so you can see these same characters, but their relationships are different now.
Yeah. I mean, that could definitely be interesting in the sense of, like, but the one thing I'd be worried about is that that's super comic booky, and, like,
True.
They're always worried about mainstream. They're always worried about, like, you know, is a normal person who just walks into the movie theater, are they going to be able to understand that? And that'd be my one thing I'm worried about is, like,
True.
are they going to be able to understand multiple dimensions and
I would really
whatever,
hope
which,
so,
I mean,
though, because,
we do.
Yeah, right.
Because we're awesome.
I would really hope so, though, because I'm like, you just watched a movie where a big purple man put on a magic outfit that made him a god. Like,
Right.
Like, at this point, man, like, if you're gonna split hairs about, like, alternate dimensions, now this is just silly. Like, okay.
That's the line, and it is drawn, people.
Exactly. All right, so in closing, go ahead and tell people where they can find you.
Well, like I said before, you can go to TX3 Productions on Twitter, or you can go to ThreatX3 Productions on YouTube, ThreatX3 Productions at gmail.com if you wanted to contact me or anything. And then as far as iTunes, SoundCloud, and all that, you can do Nerd to the Third. That one's the more broad one. Ubi Chat, which is about Ubisoft games, and Walk of the Dead, and those are all on multiple platforms.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank our guests for joining us, and I'd like to thank you for sitting in on another edition of Talking With. So for our first story, I wanted to talk about the interview that Entertainment Weekly did with Tom Hardy. Now, if you've been sleeping under a rock...
Hold on.
Sure.
It's actually pronounced Hardy.
Oh, is that...
It's Tom Hardy.
Is that how it goes? Yeah.
Yeah.
In your best Boston accent, go ahead and say Tom Hardy. But yeah, no. Unless you've been living under a rock or something, you know, I'm sure you know that Tom Hardy is going to be playing Venom in this new Venom solo movie that's coming out, and people have had like mixed reactions to his casting and the trailers and the look of Venom and everything else. And I've been trying to give it the benefit of the doubt to some degree or another, but I've finally gotten to the point where I'm just like, I don't feel like Tom Hardy understands this character, and
Yeah.
I feel that they are going to shit the bed with this, so to speak. So,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm getting this from comicbookmovie.com. They have a quote here from Tom Hardy saying, "As far as Marvel characters, I have to say, for me, Venom looks the coolest." He admits with a laugh before adding, "That sounds a bit shallow, but I appreciate that he has a kind of brazen swagger and a zero foxtrot attitude." He goes on to say, "It's a bit like Ren and Stimpy, you know?" Or when he's talking about differentiating between Eddie Brock and Venom. He says it's a bit like Ren and Stimpy. He jokes before he delves deeper into his actual mindset. They have different sounds. I always saw Venom as sounding like a James Brown lounge lizard. And Eddie Brock is kind of... Yeah, I know. And Eddie Brock is kind of... And he switches to an aw shucks American accent. I don't know, an everyday kind of guy. But he's inherited this massive ego, this beast. And that beast is unlike any superhero in the loosest sense of the term to have ever graced the silver screen, with morals that are questionable at best. Tom Hardy goes on to say, there's that biting off heads issue, which is not what you would expect from, say, Captain America taking down a crook. Now, all that information dumps out of the way. Everything that he says in this bothers me. Like, everything. From the fact that he starts off by saying... You know, when they ask him, like, "Oh, well, what drew you to this character?" Like they're trying to. You can tell the interviewer is coming at Tom Hardy in such a way to where he's trying to appeal to his, creative integrity and like, oh, I'm a thespian and actor, and he's like, well, what drew you to this character? Like, what essence did you draw from that made you want to? He was like, well, I think he looks fucking cool, and I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, that's your response,
right?
And then he's like, no, sorry, go ahead.
And then it's pretty much everything he said was just like that's what you got from him. Like, I know everybody is able to have their own interpretation of certain characters or whatever, but it's like I feel like the best interpretation of Venom was actually in the 90s cartoon.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Because the 90s cartoon of Spider-Man and X-Men actually like drew like a lot from the original, pages. I mean, aside from the fact that they're moving, a lot of it is like word for word and page for page of what actually happened in the comics. And so like that's my Venom, hashtag my Venom, that's what I consider as my Venom. And so it's like, which to the people bitching about the teaser trailer not showing Venom, it's like, you thought it was going to, like, what were you thinking? Yeah. But then, this doesn't, especially like how like psyched he was, you know what I mean? Like in interviews and stuff before they actually showed the trailer or whatever, he's talking like he's all hyped and he's like, oh, we got this right.
Oh yeah.
We got this, this is going to be the movie for the people and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, it just shows you how much money can buy you.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Everything leading up to the first initial trailer coming out, or I guess the first full trailer, not the first teaser.
Right.
But, he was just selling it. Like, he's like, I fucking love Venom, and he's awesome, and this, that, and the other. But I think that is all he got out of it. It was such surface level shit that it was just like, oh yeah, he looks cool, and, he's got this sweet look to him, and he's a badass. But I'm like, yeah, but he's more than just that. And then, okay, it's just everything he said is just very telling of what he knows and what he actually researched to prepare for this, because it seems like they gave him maybe like the first couple issues where they introduced Venom and the symbiote and everything else, maybe a couple of his solo adventure issues, and then it was like, now go make a movie. And he was like, all right, I've pretty much got the gist of the character, like, sure. Because I'm still trying to figure out what did he get out of those pages that turned Eddie Brock into this, oh, I don't know, buddy, oh, shucks, gee golly whiz, Venom, I don't know if we should hurt these people. I'm like, where is that coming from? I'm like, who? And furthermore,
Brock was always egotistical.
Yes,
he was always like,
he was a fucking
like even
jock.
in the... Go ahead.
No, I would say he was just this big jock. He was just...
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
he was
like a polar opposite of, the alter ego of Peter Parker, which is kind of what made them so, polar opposites.
Yes, exactly. He was the antithesis of Peter Parker, and that's what made him so cool, because he was like, he's everything that you're not. He's aggressive. He's big. He takes what he wants. He's not a pushover, and so that's what made him a good villain. And plus, what made him even scarier was he was already, in a very, what's the word I want to use? Opposing threat, just as Eddie Brock. Once he had the symbiote, now it's like, oh, he was already big and strong. Now he has fucking superpowers too. It's like, oh, great. So to take him and just try to make him this mild-mannered Eddie Brock, and then, the symbiote turns him into, what we know as Venom. It's like, well, you're kind of taking away from Eddie's character to try and prop up Venom more.
Right.
Because Eddie's not like that. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, Avi Arad is producing this, and he produced, like, all the other Spider-Man movies with Sony, and I don't know, like, he's had the rights to that character for so long now that I think he thinks that he owns that character, and so he's like, oh, well, I know what to do with Venom. Like, I made, the original Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. That was my idea. And I'm like, yeah, that was cool, But y'all have shit the bed with Spider-Man a few times now. That doesn't,
Definitely.
give you goodwill, at least not my eyes. Plus, not only that, but I don't know what they're doing with this whole side universe shit that they got going on, where it's like, we're making a Morbius movie and a Venom movie and a Black Cat movie, and I'm like, and none of these people are gonna get involved with Spider-Man at all. No. His entire rogues gallery, we're just gonna give them their own movies and act like the MCU doesn't exist. All right. So yeah, if you can't tell, I'm really I'm hurt more so than anything.
Tell me
Tom.
how you really feel, Sailor.
Right, I'm Tom. I'm hurt. I really am. I'm truly hurt. I trusted you to be dope, and you're, oh God. I mean, the one saving grace is the images that they've shown of Venom so far. I mean, he does kind of look like foreskin coming over a penis, but besides that, he looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Yeah, the way his mouth kind of goes over his head, like the teeth are like going over his head in that one shot is definitely kind of cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and they've also confirmed that Venom is not a part of the MCU whatsoever.
Yeah, and I mean, that's probably the worst thing about it, is just like, okay, you're making this film and it just doesn't have anything to do with anything else that you're doing. So it's the perfect why does this exist movie. A lot of people try to say that about The Amazing Spider-Man, or I mean, even Tom Holland's, even though people like that, people tried to say that, well, why does this exist? We're doing another Spider-Man. Why? Whereas here, this is quite literally, why are we doing this? You're not going to attach it to anything. It's not going to matter. Is Spider-Man even going to be a thing? And if he is, what is he? Is he a character, just, over here, but he doesn't happen to notice all the stuff that, Venom's doing? It just,
right, exactly.
What? And the thing is from a marketing standpoint, why does it make sense to do that? Exactly. Why does it make sense to create such a confusing thing? It's just such a confusing universe, and I think DC is definitely getting into it as well. So, I mean, they're not, they're not free of that, but that is the one thing that is nice about the MCU, is that when I watch an MCU movie, I'm like, okay, I'm looking for the connections, and it's fun usually. It's fun. Oh, there's an Easter egg, when there was Captain America's shield over on Tony Stark's desk or something like that. Little things like that that's what makes it fun, and even even the Netflix stuff, they don't directly talk about Captain America or whatever, but they might mention the Sokovia Act and stuff like that. It's I know what that is.
No, you're absolutely right. And then I think too is that once you have that foundation of prior movies in your universe to build off of, you have this whole gold mine that you can mine good shit from to prop up your movie. It's hey, we want people to like Spider-Man again, so we can just pull Iron Man, throw him in there. Oh, well, just for good measure, we'll throw Captain America in there too. It's you can do cool shit like that. They can't do that with Venom or any of these other spin-off movies that they're going to make. It's if Spider-Man pops up, because there were rumors for a while that Spider-Man is going to be in the Venom movie. If he truly is in the movie, then you can't explain away the rest of the MCU. So
exactly.
if there was even plans to have him in it, I can almost guarantee you by the time this movie gets to theaters, you will not see Spider-Man in that movie. Disney is not going to fuck around. That mouse is not going to let you, sully his universe that he's built over here. No, he's already trying to course correct with the Star Wars universe that they're shitting the bed with. So he ain't finna let y'all fuck up the MCU too.
Yeah. I think the crappiest thing about this entire thing is that originally there's supposed to be a Sinister Six. So it's now you're taking one of the six and just making a movie just about that one.
Do you think that's what they're trying to do still? Do you think they're trying to pull a reverse MCU where they give them all solo movies for the villains and then bring them together for the Sinister Six?
I mean, it's a possibility, but the way Disney does their marketing, the fact that we know, 8 movies in advance, I don't see why they wouldn't market it as, hey, this is part of blank universe. You know what I mean? So I don't know if maybe if this does well with bullshit,
Right.
maybe if it does well, they would do that, but I don't see why if that was the plan, just like that stupid dark universe shit that we got with the Mummy. They told us from the very beginning, like, hey, this is going to be a part of a universe. So the fact that they haven't been, shouting that from the mountaintops, basically saying, hey, come watch our movie because it's super important, since they're not doing that, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think, though, Sony's kind of gun shy because they got burned so bad when they tried to set up a universe before. And plus, after seeing, what's happening with the DCEU and what happened with the Dark Universe and everything else, I think they're like, well, if we just don't announce that we're making a universe and just do it anyway, people may be more, forgiving because we're not just blatantly going like, this movie is the first step in a long line, of films that we're creating a kingdom of movies with. Because I think that turns people off to it. Because the MCU, even though they had the stingers letting you know, hey, there's going to be more of these, they never made it a big deal in the beginning, like, we're building a universe. It was just like, no, we're making these movies, and they're kind of tangentially connected, but we didn't make a big huff about it until we were ready to make The Avengers.
That's a good point, yeah.
But anyway, I hope they fuck this up, because I'm like, man, just sell all this shit to Marvel. Just be done with it. Just give everything over. Give Spider-Man all his villains. Just stop. Because honestly, Sony Pictures doesn't really make a whole lot of movies. I mean, honestly, Spider-Man is probably keeping that whole studio afloat. So, just give it up and just focus on PlayStation and shit and leave the movies and shit alone. But anyway, that's my soapbox for for Venom. Moving on. So we're going to talk about something that Nick actually turned me on to because I had not seen this yet.
Yeah, you know how I like turning you on.
I know, right? Right, exactly. So I don't know the name of the director, but I guess you'd call it a fan film, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. A fan film was released the other day for Uncharted, and it is starring Nathan Fillion. Who's the guy? God, he was in Avatar. He's like the villain.
Yeah, just hold on. I am pulling up the IMDb right now. So, director is Alan Unga.
Alan Unga, that's what it is. I'm like, I cannot pronounce his last name. I know I'm going to murder it.
Ungar hungry.
You're right. Ungar, make fan film of Uncharted.
And Stephen Lang, I believe, is the Avatar guy.
Yes, Stephen Lang. Yes, he's in it. Okay. I want to just say right off the bat, this looked fucking really good. And I don't just mean like, oh, really, it looked good, like, oh, I can't wait to see this. I mean, aesthetically, it looked really good. Yeah. Like the cinematography and everything, and like the way it was shot, they had like some Dutch angles going in there. I was like, okay. I was like, this ain't just some, hey, me and my friends were in the backyard, we threw together some shit. I was like, y'all actually, someone went to film school that was a part of this shit. And I was like, okay, I see y'all. And it's edited really good. Like there's a couple little bits where I was like, I could have trimmed off a little bit more of that. Like I could kind of see where he like stopped right before he did the jump, and it was like, whatever though. It's like I can't complain. It for what it is, it's really damn good. Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, yeah, kind of like you said, like I feel like there was only very few moments where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a YouTube video. But for the most part, lighting, positioning, blocking, everything felt like an actual movie. Like this felt like, or even just like a TV production,
Yeah, like a Netflix original or something. Like I would have totally.
Right. That. And like, I really hope this has the Deadpool leaked footage effect where people freak out about this. I mean, like right now it's at an 8.6 out of 10 on IMDb, which I don't know, that seems low. Like that needs to be a 9 at least because it was just so. It was so. There's nothing bad about it in my opinion. Like there were, like you said, little, very, very little things, but like. For the most part, like, this is the Nathan Drake, this is the Uncharted movie that we would want. And, you know, I have to say, even though Stephen Lang, like, I would have never pictured him in this role, I thought it's like, you know what? That actually really fits. You know, unless they actually got the voice actor who played Sully to get that really rough and gruff voice or whatever, unless they got him, I don't think there's anybody else who would have played a better, because even then he still looks like he could kick ass.
Oh yeah.
You know, because that's the one thing about Sully is that he's jumping around and he's shooting alongside Nathan Drake. And so if they would have picked somebody who is maybe just a little bit too girthy or didn't look like he could handle his own, it would be like, but I don't know if I trust that. But Stephen Lang, like, seeing how much of a badass he is in, like, Avatar and a couple of the other movies he's been in, like, I think his most recent one was where he played, like, a blind guy, and, like, you know, he's kicking ass in that movie. And, like, so you know, and, like, I see him with the cigar, and I'm like, oh, okay, I got you. Okay, that's pretty cool, actually. Like, it's just one of those things I never would have thought of it, you know, never would have put that person into that role, you know?
Yeah, no. Whoever the casting director is or whatever favors they pulled to even get them to agree to do this, because neither one of them necessarily needs this for their career per se. So it's like, you know, they are either doing it out of, you know, passion for the material or because, hey, you know, like this little up and coming whoever, you know, wants to do this thing with me and he thinks I'd be good for it. Why not? What could it hurt?
I mean, like, Nathan Fillion definitely has passion for it. When they first announced that there was going to be the possibility of an Uncharted, like, he put out on Twitter, like, hey, all you brown coats, get together. Let's get me the part and everything. So I know it almost seems like, you know, the chicken and egg argument. What came first? Was it Alan Unger, you know, writing this script and then, you know, contacting Nathan Fillion, or did Nathan Fillion happen to know Alan and so they kind of dreamt this up together? You know, what came first, basically?
Yeah, no. And I mean, regardless of how it came together, I mean, I'm glad it did. And I did want to say too that kudos, like, I'm giving you the golf clap right now, Nathan Fillion. Kudos to you, because he went and he got back in shape and he looked good as Nathan Drake, because I remember when, you know, there was rumblings that they might be making a you know, Uncharted movie, and he was like, oh, I want to be in it. And I was thinking, like, you know, he would have been great as Nathan Drake like 10 years ago. I'm like, right now, I'm like, he got kind of chunky, and I'm like, I don't know. And he kind of lost his appeal to me after that. What was that show, Castle, that he was on?
Oh, I loved Castle. I love that
Not
one.
that it's a bad show, but it's kind of like that thing of, oh God, who said it? I think it was James Brown or somebody like that, but something to the effect of, if people see you too much for free, then nobody will want to pay to see you. So it's like, when I can see Nathan Fillion on TV every week, you know, like, I mean, granted, yes, I know he was in shows before, obviously, but when it's like, hey, he's on ABC every Thursday, you know, it's just like, I don't know. I think actors feel the same way, though. I think that's why a lot of movie actors won't do TV. Not just because of scheduling conflicts and stuff like that, but I think they feel it kind of waters down their appeal for like a big blockbuster movie. Because it's like, why would I go spend $20, you know, and drive halfway across town and sit in this big crowded theater with all these loud ass people and everything else to watch you in a movie, when it's like, I know, you know, hey, it's 8 p.m. on Thursday, I can flip on the TV and you're right there.
Yeah. Did you ever see The Rookie?
No, but I saw the, like, not the pilot, but like the trailer for the pilot or whatever, and I was like, you know what? This actually looks good.
Yeah. I like the idea of, you know, like, there's definitely been like old cops in the past or whatever, but I like the idea of the, like, something happened to him, so he decided to, like, change his life or whatever, and, you know, and so I think that partially got him back into shape, because, you know, in Castle he didn't need to do that much as far as like to stay in shape. And so this kind of got him a little bit more into shape. There's like one or two spots where I'm like, you're just a little chunky guy, aren't you? But like, guaranteed, they call him up tomorrow, Sony or whatever, calls him up tomorrow and says, you know what? You convinced us you are Nathan Drake, and we want to build a movie around here. I guarantee you that motherfucker is going to be in the gym, like, you know, once a day, 3 hours a day. He's going to be eating nothing but broccoli and like oatmeal.
Right.
You know, like he'll pull that Chris Pratt like transformation where like all of a sudden he has like abs and shit. Like I guarantee you, you know, like if he looks this good for a fan film.
True, that's fair.
Like,
that's fair.
I'm like, even if like YouTube Red came up to him and been like, yo, that was awesome, let's get you a series, or Netflix or Hulu, Amazon Prime, whatever the case might be, somebody comes up to him, it's like, hey, we want to make you this series, you know, guaranteed. He's definitely going to, you know, make the extra effort. Like, okay, now I have to take this super serious. Like you know, it was a passion of mine, but now that it's real, yeah, you bet your ass there's going to be some type of transformation, and it won't look like, you know, geriatrics jumping onto a crate and trying to punch a guy.
Good point. But I'm glad that you brought up that jumping off the thing. Okay. In watching this, you know, I did appreciate the little Easter eggs and homages that they put into the games. Like they do the over-the-shoulder camera when he has the shootout, and when he goes to shoot the guy, the camera
that was awesome.
zooms in. You know, like when he's like aiming down his sights, it zooms in over his shoulder, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And every time he would,
and he even said what he usually says, like, here we go again. Like he said that, and I'm like,
Yep. And you could tell, like, when he would hide behind cover, it would, you know, it would use dynamic cover with the camera. So when he looked out, the camera would look out with him and then go back. And I was like, that was cool. I was down
definitely
with the homages all the way until they did the jumping in slow-mo thing. I was like, okay, that's the one thing that y'all could have just not done, and I would have been fine with.
Well, they could have cut it in half, because they definitely like prolonged it.
They stayed on it too long. Yeah, they
they
showed too. That was one of the things I referred to, or I was referencing when I said the editing, that they should have cut, you know, a little bit sooner, because he hung in the air for too long, and the longer you look at it when it's a real person doing it, the longer you can see how dumb it looks and how impractical it is in a fight. Like, do you remember?
Yeah, it's like when you get caught on kill cam and you see it. It's like, I'm not even hitting that person's body.
Exactly. Did you remember the movie Troy with Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
So you remember that move he did throughout the movie where he did that leaping like lunge thing? It's basically that, but with no weapon. I'm like, when you got a big ass sword and a shield, it looks sweet. When you're just punching a guy, it's really inefficient and it looks stupid. In the games, it's awesome.
I mean, and see, they just embellished it just for like a second more. If they just would have cut a second off of that, and they wouldn't have embellished it, like they treated that like that was the climax.
Oh yeah,
and I think that was was the problem, because it's like,
oh yeah, like if this was a trailer, that would be like the money shot at the end, right before the title came up, like this summer, and it'd be slow motion punching, and it'd be like Uncharted the movie, and you'd be like, oh shit. Like, yeah, no.
Right. What I really wanted him to do is to kick up the AK into his hand and then start shooting, because like that's what you would do in the game.
Yeah, that, you know. And see, it's funny because I have all these ideas like, oh, I wonder if they're going to do this, that, and the other. This to establish is a fan film. No studio money is behind this. No one has a contract. This is not going to be in theaters at no point. But if they were to make this into a movie, my one worry has always been about making an Uncharted movie that because we've become so used to special effects that a good 60% of the movie during the chases and all the crazy, you know, like quick time events that you would do in the game is just going to be nothing but CG. Just the whole thing is just going to be CG. And it's like, yeah, I know it's all a video game, so it's all, you know, computer graphics no matter what, but I don't know. Like, if you're gonna make a live action movie, I want to see. That's why I'm almost like, and I'm gonna say some blasphemy here, but I would almost want Tom Cruise to play Nathan Drake, because I know Tom Cruise can do that shit. Tom Cruise can run his ass off and jump off of shit. He's all about stunts. So I'm like, if Tom Cruise made an Uncharted movie, there would be like little to no CG in it besides, explosions and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, he can be cocky and he can be like sarcastic or whatever. So,
if you could take Top Gun Tom Cruise and put him into today's Tom Cruise's body, I think it would be perfect.
Yeah. It's just so hard to see anybody else
besides
Nathan Drake.
I get you.
Because he's just so perfect. Like, even like when the short guy comes and he's like, "Oh God, I was worried" or whatever. It's like that is a Nathan Drake thing to say. Like, that was just like that was so awesome. And just like his little quirks here and there, like, were definitely just totally like on par with like what you would expect. And like, he just embodies him. Even just him on castles, like a couple times, it's like, just give him the part.
Yeah, but between this, the Power Rangers fan film, and that Mortal Kombat fan film from a few years ago, let these people make the damn movies already. Like, just give them the money, because you know what they're gonna do. The studio is gonna pick some no-name. I made an indie film at Sundance like 6 years ago that nobody fucking saw. They're going to give them like $200 million and be like, go make Uncharted. I'm like, why not take that same risk on someone who has proof of concept to show you right now and say, hey, this is what I did with nothing. Imagine what I could put together with like $100 million budget.
Yeah, and that's the problem with Hollywood in general is the fact that, when somebody makes a Tomb Raider movie, when somebody makes a Assassin's Creed movie, a Doom movie, they get these people who might have kind of like, I'm going to go back to Tom Hardy, and they have this very surface level, okay, here are the main moments of the video game, let's make sure to emulate that. But then what they forget to do is they forget to also emulate the spirit of the game, the spirit of how it made you feel when you played it. And so then, you have this fan film, and it's made by a fan, it's for fans, and it's just like, I'm in 100% agreement with you, but it's like, if they did give it to somebody, like, I don't know. That's why, like, part of me hopes that this doesn't become a movie. I do not want a movie whatsoever. I want a series. Give me a Netflix series, HBO series, whatever the case might be. Whoever picks this up, I want it to be a series, because you showed me a 15-minute thing that could have been like the first act of the first episode. And it's like, I want this. I don't know if I do want the big explosive chases and stuff like that, because, like you said, it would be super CG. I want something a little bit more intimate. Like, this story very well could have taken place like after Uncharted 4. So somewhere between like the end of episode, or the end of Uncharted 4 and then the epilogue of Uncharted 4. Like, it could have happened somewhere in there. It feels like it fits in, because obviously this is an older Nathan Drake. He's, no spring chicken or anything like, and so like, but yeah, that's what I want. I don't want a movie, because 100% they're going to do everything that you just said. They're going to give this person $100,000, and Tom Hardy, great for him. But I don't think anybody wants to see a young Nathan Drake, because it's just like trying to see a young Han Solo. When you get rid of that mystery, then why do I even care about the character?
No, you're absolutely right. That's the other thing too, is I find it funny, because what they would do is, like we said, they'd give it to somebody who's a nobody anyway, director. So it's like, why not give it to the guy who made the fan film? But you wouldn't get Nathan Fillion as Nathan Drake. It would more than most likely be, because they're hot right now, it would be Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt would be Nathan Drake. That would be your Uncharted movie. It'd be like directed by I don't know, somebody who did. They'd give it to Josh Trank, and you'd have Chris Pratt as Nathan Drake, and you'd have everybody on every end of the fandom pissed the fuck off.
Well, like, since you said that, I hear if we couldn't get a Nathan Fillion, I think a good combination would be a Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt could pull off Nathan Drake, I think. Yeah. Maybe not the look, but the feel of Nathan Drake. Sure. And then I think the Russo brothers. Russo brothers should helm the entire thing.
Yes, and make it like that, like in the dirt, shaky cam shit that they did in like not Civil War, but Winter Soldier. Oh,
Winter Soldier.
God.
Yep.
That would be epic. Oh man. Okay, Disney, if you're listening, get on that shit. The mouse is like, we got it.
We got it, boy. I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you what.
Okay, pause. All right, well, oh, god damn it. So, yeah, no, this is actually going on a lot longer than what I thought we were going to. So what do we got after this?
It's because you got somebody who knows the shit.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, yeah, no, this is going good, though. So as long as, I'm not holding you up, we'll just keep going.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so we're going to do Dumb Shit of the Week, so I got to do my whole spiel on that, and I got to figure out how I'm going to say this, though, because normally I pass it over to my co-host to read the thing, but I can do it. Okay, so...
You can do it.
Okay. Alright, I'm going to start. It's that time again for America's #1 show, Dumb Shit of the Week. That's right, Dumb Shit of the Week is the show where you submit your findings of dumb shit and we talk about it. Want your submission on the show? Find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, or you can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. Now here's your host for the evening, me. Okay, so
I rule everything.
Right, pretty much, yeah. I was gonna say, since I'm riding solo, you get double the mic.
I'm riding solo.
See, you get Mike C squared. See, what I did with the thing.
No.
All right, so our first submission is actually for one that we found. We came across this in our travels of the internet, but it is Busty Heart. Susan Sykes is a television personality, big bust model, and former stripper who performs under the stage name Busty Heart. She is most well known for crushing cans with her breast. Busty smashes anything from aluminum cans, blocks of wood, glass, melons, and more with her 38H like hell H cup.
Oh
breasts,
God!
Which weigh 20 pounds each. Now,
what does she do? Get a wheelbarrow like that one South Park
right?
episode?
Now, what's so funny about this is just listening to it be described is not doing it justice. Okay, so when I heard about the story before I actually witnessed it, or I guess when I read it before I actually watched the video on it, I assumed, okay, so she basically motorboats, a can and just squeezes her boobs together and it just crushes it. No. That would be the most logical thing to do. No. She legit has, there's a video where she has little wood planks set up, and it would be almost kind of like how you would imagine people who do karate demonstrations where they chop through a block of wood or something like that. She sets them up, then she takes her breast and picks it up in her hand. She has one hand that raises it underneath and one hand on the top, and then she slams it down and just shatters whatever's underneath. And it is the most horrifying thing I have ever seen in my life.
Oh my God! So I'm watching France Got Talent. Is that what you guys saw it on?
She was on one of those talent shows, and then she's just got other videos floating around on the internet. Yeah.
Oh, they're so unproportioned.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
Oh jeez, it came out. On national television.
Oh, it popped out. See, I didn't see that.
Oh my God.
Though I will say, I did Google what she looked like naked because I just had to know.
Oh God.
I just had to know.
No, a bat. A bat? Not a bat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's gonna break a bat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on!
It's so violent. Like, I'm like, how does that not hurt you? Have you lost all feeling in your chest, like, whatsoever? Because
you would think you would have to at that point.
I thought that she had implants, but from what I read about her, she's been super busty since like high school. They nicknamed her Busty, and I guess she was like the unofficial mascot of like the Boston Celtics in 1986.
Jeez, why?
And so yeah, so she's always been super big breasted, and she was a stripper for a while and all this other shit. And now she runs her own strip club and spends her off time breaking shit with her tits.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, no.
Just why?
It'll scar you. So trust me, guys. I cannot do it justice explaining it to you. Go Google Busty Heart, and the first thing that pops up, click it and watch it, and you will know what we're talking about. It's rough. And my thing is, I'm like, are her boobs just like bruised like permanently? Because even if it doesn't hurt, you're smashing blood vessels doing that shit, surely.
Right.
Like underneath her boob is just black. It's just covered in bruises like all around.
Yeah, like I like big boobs, and like after marrying my wife, you know, I've always told her many times, my wife has, you know, double D's, you know, so they're pretty good size, you know what I mean? And like if I ever had to go back into the dating world, I don't know, it's not like I would purposely not date like an A cup,
Sure.
But it's like you get extra points, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But
Extra
like
points.
there is such a thing as too big. Like,
oh yeah, oh god,
oh
yes,
my
yes.
god, it's just so. Oh,
Yeah.
and she is no spring chicken. That's another thing.
Yeah.
She is no spring chicken, and she has these giant things that, like, she's gonna be in a walker sometime soon, and either she's gonna have to get those reduced, or she's gonna have to get a separate walker just for them.
Mm-hmm. And what's so gross about it is because she's older, it just, her skin is like just leather now, so it like her cleavage is just disgusting to look at. It's gross. It's okay.
Yeah.
Anywho, moving on.
Shake off all those
I know,
chills.
right. We need a palate cleanser with this nice one.
I know. Let's go right on to some more gross ass shit.
So our next one's gonna be Pony Play. And this is from our very own DJ Melly Mel. DJ Melly Mel
DJ
is a part of our podcast, One Giant Leap for Geeks, and you can find her on Twitter at Froggy Beaver. The Pony Play is her name. Yeah, I know. I laugh at it every fucking time. But it is Pony Play is a pony fetish festival, I guess, or where pony hobbyists compete in events dressed in horse gear, complete with bits and saddles. Once in costume, they get into character, or what they call pony space. Then they proceed.
Ponies in space.
Right, they got like fucking astronaut helmets on and shit. Yeah, no, it's great. But they have like events and shit. It's not just like, you know, it's not like furries where like they dress up like animals and just fuck each other. Like no. Like they have a whole like competition built around this weird fetish where they have, you know, they pull carriages, they jump over shit, they run between cones and shit. It is, look, everybody has their kink. Everybody has their fetishes and shit, you know, whatever. Who cares? But this starts to get into that territory where it's like, we're beyond a fetish and we're kind of in a lifestyle territory now. It's kind of like those people who want to be like adult babies and shit. It's like, this is something that has dramatically altered your life, and it's more than just, well, this makes my dick hard. You know, it's like, no, this is something completely different. Like, the fact that they have a term for the mindset that they have to get into, like, I have to get into my pony space. It's like, they go through some kind of, like, transformation and shit, and it's, oh, God.
Yeah. And see, like, I actually first saw this from Cody Ko. If you haven't seen his video, he's a funny guy, and he does this one series that's called That's Cringe. And so they watch a video on it, and then they do commentary over it. But that's actually where I first experienced, because it's sure an experience, I'll tell you that much. This is where I first experienced it, and man, yeah, I just like, I'll even go as far to say, like, I don't agree with it, and I would never do it myself.
But
like, I could even sit to the I can consent to the fact of, like, playing a baby, like that being a kink, like, because I'm assuming if you're playing a baby, it's more about the submissiveness of it than anything else. It's more like having somebody, like, treat you, or I guess, like, pamper you, because
Sure.
like, you pamper a baby, you do. I mean, sometimes they like being a naughty baby, but like, I could even, I can understand. I don't, like I said, I don't agree with it. I'm not going to do it myself. I'm not going to throw on a diaper and everything, but it's like, I can at least, in some universe or another, I can understand wanting to be a baby, or maybe no furries. I don't understand that either. But pony play is then somehow worse than furries.
Slope when you start trying to justify, because then you
Right.
start have to making all these conceits about all these other weird fetishes, and it's like, maybe not. That's why I just completely have backpedaled it to the point where it's just like, I'm not going to judge these people, but would I want to necessarily have you as a neighbor? Probably not. But
hell no. If I found stuff like this in your, like, closet or something, I'd be like, never talking to you again. You invite me over for dinner, I'd be like, fuck no.
Yeah. And what's so odd about it is because when I first started watching it, I'm like, okay, so where does the sexual aspect come into it at? And it's like, no, I think, like, a big part of it is they just want to be fucking ponies. Like,
Right.
the guy, there was this one guy who, like, his stagecoach driver wife, or whatever the fuck, his tamer.
Hopefully, wife.
Right. She's, like, whipping him, and his back is just whipped to shit. It looks bad.
Oh.
And he's, like, kicking and bucking against the thing, but, like, then they have, like, the commentary with them, like, after the fact, and he's like, yeah, like, it's a part of, the whole experience, and, I buck and fight, I'm a wild horse, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
No, God.
So, yeah, I mean,
I'm a wild stallion.
I know in the age that we live in, we're supposed to be accepting of everybody and, all the things that come with it, and that's fine. But this one, I don't know, man. It's like, once we start doing, like, interspecies type role play, I'm like,
Right.
yeah, maybe let's not start making that okay. I mean, hey, look, you can do just about anything else under the sun besides, like, pedophilia or some shit like that, so stick with those. There's a
Stick with pedophilia.
no except for that. Right,
I got
right.
you there.
One giant leaf for geese does not endorse pedophilia, kids. but just stick with the things, hey, look, it may be vanilla, but it's like, hey, at least you don't have to spend all this money buying fucking, horse gear and shit. It's like, and by the way, too, they make all these things themselves, like, as far as I know, at least, there's not, and maybe this is a business idea for anybody out there, entrepreneur, there is no place to just go buy human horse gear to dress up like a pony, so they have to, like, pretty much cosplay and, like, make the shit themselves. So, hey, if somebody needs a business model that is very niche that no one's jumped on yet, there you go.
There you go. That's an entrepreneurial there.
God, it's, oh man, like, it would be so, and as well too, I'm curious, do they do this in their own personal lives? Like, just, like, would you just be at CVS and just see, this guy walk in with a saddle on his back and shit? This is like, oh God. It's like, yes, I'm here picking up my shit, I don't know, my pain medicine or something. It's like, yeah, you're bleeding. But So yeah, I guess moral to that story is, God, I don't even know. I'm, I'm reaching for something to distill from all this weirdness. Everybody's got a weird talent, so there you go.
Yep. And always carry sugar cubes in your pocket.
Right, you never know. Yeah, you never know when you may need them. All right, guys, remember, Dumb Shit of the Week is your show. So send in your submissions. Every week we will compile them, read them, and shout you out for sending it. So keep them coming. You can send them to us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks or email it to us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. So, we finally have confirmation. It's been up in the air for months. It feels like years at this point. But we have finally got confirmation that we are getting a Joker solo movie. And our new Joker is Joaquin Phoenix, I guess. But, Jared Leto fans, fret not. Because we are also getting a simultaneous Joker solo movie starring Jared Leto as well.
Wait, seriously?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not making this shit up. Oh no.
Whoa.
Yeah,
See, this is exactly what I was talking about with the whole Tom Hardy Venom situation, where it's like when you create these alternate universes, it's like, you know, I don't know, maybe people's theories about Jared Leto's Joker will be proven correct, which he's not the original. Yeah, he's not the original. He's
Jason Todd or something.
There you go. Thank you. I was like, Todd. I almost put Todd as the first name, but I'm like, that's not right.
Todd McFarlane is the Joker. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, no.
But yeah. Maybe that will be proven right by the fact that there's somehow two Jokers now.
No, it's... okay, I'm not even going to sugarcoat the shit. I did not at all like what Jared Leto did with the Joker. Like, that whole, you know, gangster grill shit and pimp coat and a cane and purple Lamborghinis and all that. I'm like, why? Who said that this was a good idea? Like, why did no one step in at any point during production and was like, no, stop it. This is not gonna fucking fly. And then the tattoos and shit, and it's just like, oh my God. The Joker would never sit down and allow someone to tattoo anything on him. Like that, he is too unpredictable. He would probably kill you before he would let you to, or he may and then kill you after. But I just don't buy that he's in prison getting tattoos and shit and a grill and, you know, ugh.
But here's my thought on the Jared Leto. First off, with what he did, I liked. Now, whether or not I accept him as a Joker is a whole nother thing. But the number one thing I always like to point out with people who complain about Jared Leto's Joker is that, you know, this is a comic book series that has full into the multiverse. And so I like to think that Jared Leto's Joker, his gangster persona, is just one of the multiverse possibilities. Okay. In one of the multiverses, he became, you know, a gangster. Not only that, which this might be a stupid excuse, but not only that, but this is one of the youngest Jokers we've seen. As far as, I don't know about Heath Ledger, like I don't know what his age was compared to Jared Leto, but even just like the look and feel of the Joker himself, not the character or not the person who's playing him, but rather the character himself is one of the youngest ones we've seen. So you add that on top of the multiverse theory, I think, you know, is he the best Joker? No, but he's good. He's the Joker that he was meaning to be.
He's the Joker that the DCEU deserves, yeah. Pretty much.
Maybe not that, but, you know, I'm just saying that what he was going for, I think he nailed.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? But was it the right thing?
Okay.
That's the question.
I will give you that. That's fair. I didn't like what he did. Not necessarily what he did that it was bad. I just don't think that it fit that character. So, okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they have decided to go ahead and move forward. They have confirmed that they are making a Joker solo film with Joaquin Phoenix. But as far as until someone, turns off the road on this game of chicken, we're still making 2 Joker movies apparently. And apparently there's going to be 2 different Batmans too. So we're just going to have doppelgangers of everybody in the DCEU. We get 2 Flashes, 2 Batmans, 2 Jokers, just 2 of every fucking body. Why not? We can get 2 Wonder Woman.
One of my favorite things that I wish could actually happen is we have some kind of multiverse movie where we get like Val Kilmer back, we get Christian Bale back, we get Ben Affleck in, and like they all play a different version of the Batman, and they have to like team up together or something. And then you can even
like what they're doing with that Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse thing, like taking all these versions.
Yeah,
that could be interesting. Yeah, but it's just a shame though that Adam West is gone.
Adam West.
Like that's a shame. That would have made it perfect.
West.
But still though.
Right.
But no, that could be something interesting. Yeah. They got to get Val Kilmer big ass head to fit back into a fucking bat suit again, but but other than that, that could be interesting. But
well, he could be the Bruce Wayne from the Batman Beyond universe, where he's older and fatter.
Well, you know what? See, that's always been my holdout though for Michael Keaton. Especially now, because if you look at what Michael Keaton looks like now, he looks a lot like the old Bruce Wayne from the Batman Beyond cartoon. Maybe not as, stocky and shit, but he has that look, with the gray hair and everything. I'm like, man, that would be perfect. Like, why are we not doing that? Who the fuck said Ben Affleck was a good idea? Why are we not doing this? Bring Michael Keaton back.
Hey, Ben Affleck was like the one good thing of Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah, but then he was like the worst thing of Justice League.
Yeah, was that Ben Affleck's fault? That wasn't Ben Affleck's fault. That was the amalgamation of the monster that was Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder.
That's fair. Well, I mean, but you can make the argument that Wonder Woman came out unscathed.
Yeah, but Wonder Woman was shite.
You know what? It's funny. See, you're one of the very few people who I've heard openly admit that movie's not good. I actually like the movie, but I will totally admit it's okay at best. It is not. It's a good movie. It's not great by no means. I feel like because it's Wonder Woman is because it's the first big female superhero movie that people kind of feel like.
Right.
I feel like they kind of had the same thing with Black Panther. I love Black Panther, but I feel like that movie kind of got more credit than what it was due because people felt like they had to be like, oh, it's the best thing ever. Now, it did make $1 billion fucking dollars. I mean, that is nothing to sneeze at for someone's first solo movie who was like a B, C list, tier character. That's a big fucking deal.
Definitely.
But I feel like Wonder
Woman.
But
like you said, they were treating it like he was the first black,
superhero ever.
Comic book character. Yeah. It's like, No, actually, that goes to Mercury Man.
Right, Blank Man. See, people are quick to forget about Shaq Steele. He was the true first black superhero.
Oh no. Yeah, Mercury Man was like way back in the day. It was like a parody of superhero movies before it was.
Are you meaning Meteor Man?
Oh, Meteor Man. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Man, yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah. See, and it's funny because I was just listening to the episode we did together on your show, and I was thinking, he never did do a tally of those goddamn nerd points. So you have a negative nerd point for that, and now for this too.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm getting this story from comicbookmovie.com as well. They're talking to Joaquin Phoenix about what made him finally agree to do the character. Kind of similar to what they did with Tom Hardy in the Entertainment Weekly one. Joaquin says, I take a lot of time and consideration when making decisions and what I'm going to work on, always. So, in some ways, the process, which is obviously reading a script and meeting a filmmaker and then continuing to have meetings and discussions with Todd Phillips, I think he's very impressive, and he seems to have a very interesting understanding of this world and what he's trying to say. And so there is something very appealing about that, and working with him on this particular project, it feels unique. It is its own world in some ways, and maybe mostly it scares the freaking shit out of me or something. It might as well be the thing that scares you the most. Then he goes on to say that 3 or 4 years ago, I called my agent and said, why don't they want to take one of these characters and just make a lower budget film about it, a movie but a character study, and why not take one of the villains? And I thought, you can't do the Joker because, you know, it's just you can't do that character. It's been done. So I was trying to think of other characters, and he said, I'll set up a general meeting with Warner Brothers. And I said, I'm not going to go. I can't go to a general meeting. So I completely forgot about it. And so then I heard about this idea, and I was like, oh, that's so exciting. That's the kind of experience I wanted to have with a movie based on a comic book character. I felt like you could get something on screen. So I feel much better about Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker than I do about Tom Hardy playing Venom, because at least it seems like he put some thought into this.
Definitely,
and it wasn't just like, oh, the Joker, that'll be great. You know, it's like...
he looks awesome. I love with all his tattoos and green hair.
Oh, and please, like, Warner Brothers, I swear to God, if the trailer comes out to this movie and he got them fucking tattoos, I'm done with y'all completely. Because if we're gonna take this opportunity to try, because this is what I think they're doing. I think what they're really doing is they're gonna be like, we're gonna make this other Joker movie. If this is received well, we're just gonna pretend like Jared Leto was never the Joker, and it's just always been Joaquin Phoenix, and Suicide Squad just never happened, and we're just gonna brush all this shit under the rug, and just nothing to see here. Just keep on walking, folks. Everything's fine. Just because I don't see what purpose it would serve to make two simultaneous movies about the same character with two different actors in supposedly, I guess, the same universe, or this is supposed to be its own spin-off movie. I don't know. Like, it makes my head hurt thinking about it because it's so convoluted.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, what? And I know. See, you seem to have a better impression of Jared Leto's Joker than I do. I mean, what would you like to see them do here? I mean, should we just stay the course? And I mean, I guess this could be just for the DCEU in general. Should we just stay the course and just keep riding this out and see where it goes? Or scrap the whole thing and start over? Like, is there a solution to any of this?
No, I think even though I liked Batman vs Superman way more than most people, I like Suicide Squad.
I love that movie.
It's too late. Suicide Squad. I like Suicide Squad way more than a lot of people. But even then, like, I liked them for the fact that they were blockbusters. I didn't like them because they were DCEU or whatever the hell the case might be. And then obviously, I think anybody and everybody can agree that just Justice League was just a load of shit. Like, so they just need to cut their losses. Like, it's cool that Aquaman has his own movie, or even like there's going to be a Wonder Woman 2 or something, but like, I don't know, just let those be their own thing. We don't need anything else tying them together or anything. We don't need like a Justice League 2. Just cut your losses.
Oh, so you think that they should just scrap the whole shared universe and just go back to how we used to make superhero movies, and every movie is just a standalone? Okay. Yep. You know, and I think that's
like when you screw up that royally, when you just like, you know, you keep using the expression shit the bed. When you shit the bed so much that you have more shit than mattress in spring,
right?
It's time to call it.
Like, man, I don't remember the bed being this close to the ceiling. Wow. This is really weird. Yeah, no, it's sad because I've said this a million times before, and I'm going to keep saying it. DC has, if not the best, some of the best characters that have ever been put on paper, and y'all are fucking this shit up at every opportunity. It's like, I don't get it. Like, I really don't. Like, I know...
And I mean, they get them so right on the cartoon
Yes!
movies. That's the one thing.
I know. Well, I don't know. After seeing The Killing Joke, I was like, ooh, what are we doing with these animated movies, guys? Because that whole...
Well, that first third doesn't
Oh,
count.
yeah,
That never
no, we're
happened.
definitely counting that.
Just skip forward.
Because I was like... I was curious, like, how are they going to make this into a movie? Because this is a fairly short, contained story. It's just Joker's origin story is all it is. And to try and extrapolate that out into, like, a 90-minute movie, I was like, how are you going to make that work? But I was like, whatever, you know, they'll just do some filler shit in between. As long as they hit the main parts and beats and stuff, it'll be great. And they tacked on this other side story with Barbara Gordon and Batman, and, oh, man, yeah. Anyway, it kind of soured me to the DC animated movies for a bit. I do want to see Ninja Batman, though. That does look cool. But
That does look pretty bad.
yeah, but with like the movies lately, it's like, I know we live in a more cynical world, and I know, you know, things aren't the greatest right now. But once you've decided that we need to make Superman, you know, dark and gritty, then I feel like you've just completely lost your way. It's like, yes, make Superman more relevant for 2018. Sure, that's fine. But Superman should not be this mopey, depressed, like, I don't want to do this. Why is the world putting all their problems on my shoulders? You know, nobody appreciates me. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? And then we try to course correct with Joss Whedon, and he comes in and he's like, hi, I'm Superman. Hello, citizens. And it's just like, okay, like, you're a completely different character now. Like, the guy from Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman in the first half of Justice League is not the same guy that comes back from the dead halfway through Justice League. It's like, okay. I mean, I appreciate that Superman a lot more, but I don't necessarily think it makes sense for the through line of the character's arc. But whatever. Just the DCEU in general is just a mess. And I think, like you said, this is just muddying the waters even more. And just, it's making brand confusion to the consumer. Because it's like, what are you telling the audience who just goes to see movies, that don't follow any of this shit behind the scenes, don't know who's playing what? They just know, hey, there's a Joker movie coming out. Now, say they went and seen Suicide Squad, and then they go see this new Joaquin Phoenix Joker. They're going to be like, this is not the same guy that was in Suicide Squad. Like, what is this? And supposedly, this is going to be under the Origins banner. You know, kind of how, like, X-Men started making the Origins movies that only had X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Right.
They're going to do, like, these little spin-off origin movies. And I'm like, for one, we don't need an origin story for the Joker. Like, we just tried doing that in the Killing Joke animated thing, and y'all fucked that up. And for two, you telling me that Joaquin Phoenix is supposed to be playing a younger Jared Leto? I'm like, how does that work exactly?
I know, right?
I'm like, I'm pretty sure they are the same age, if not Joaquin Phoenix maybe slightly older than Jared Leto. I'm like, how is that supposed to work exactly? So, yeah. Now...
It's the multiverse, man.
Right.
The second they talk about the multiverse, it like fixes almost everything you could think of in the entire, like Lex Luthor being a fucking joke, you know, like all of a sudden, oh, it's fixed because this is an alternate universe and not that.
But see, I feel like that's a cheat, though. I feel like you can't just that's why,
man, they are so losing this game. They need that up, down, left, right be a start. They need it.
That is true. At this point, it's like they're grasping at straws, and it's like, man, I just need something, just anything, just please give us. But see, that's what I thought they were going to do with Flashpoint and reset the whole thing, but I don't think they're making that anymore. So I don't know. But I will say, I do like the fact that Joaquin Phoenix is going to be playing the Joker. I am really interested to see what he does with this character, because I do like him as an actor, and I think that he could be our new Heath Ledger. Not like he would be aping Heath Ledger's performance, but he could bring something out of that character that nobody has done yet, and, you know, make you see him in a new light. Because honestly, I was one of those people. No one likes to admit this now, but back when The Dark Knight was first coming out, people were pissed the fuck off that Heath Ledger was playing a Joker.
Oh, yeah.
Because up until that point, this was the dude from, you know, Everything I Hate About You and A Knight's Tale and shit like that. So it's like, you know, no one was like in Brokeback Mountain and shit. No one was excited for Heath Ledger to be the Joker. Nobody. And then the first image we saw of him as the Joker, I remember still to this day that like really close up shot of just his face. And that completely turned everybody around. I was like, okay, no, all right. I don't know what you're doing with this, but I like where this is going. And then after seeing his performance, he is like the standard that everybody else is compared to now. So I think Joaquin could do something similar to where he can take it in a direction that we wouldn't expect and make it his own. And it could be great. Or it could turn out like, Cesar Romero's Batman from the Adam West show. Like, who knows? But because he's one of those like eccentric like actors. Like, I was really surprised that he even agreed to do this, because I was like, he seems like one of those people who would be really uppity, like, oh well, I don't make superhero movies. No, like I make films. Like, whatever. But I guess in closing with this whole Jared Leto and Joaquin Phoenix thing, because I know your feelings about the DCEU in general, just scrap it and say fucking do solo movies. Depending, I guess, on how the Joaquin Phoenix Joker turns out, if they do continue just doing solo movies or keeping the DCEU going, who would you rather have be our Joker? Would you rather see Joaquin and see what he would do with it, or are we content with Jared Leto and just, ride this out into the sunset?
Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah, I'm kind of the mindset that, I think everybody deserves a chance, like even back when Batfleck was announced, I was definitely one of the ones that it's like, was Daredevil a great movie? No, but I liked Ben Affleck. I think he did a good job with what he was given. And so I think I was one of the very, very few people that was actually like, hey, I want to see what he does. And so I'd have to say the same thing about Joaquin. Every time I say that, I just want to be like, bless you.
Right. Kazutai, sorry.
Joaquin, bless you.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll see what they do with the DCEU. We're playing the wait and see game with Aquaman, so depending on how this turns out is really going to dictate whether or not I'm going to stick around for the rest of this shit and see how it plays out, because this is supposed to be the one. Like, Aquaman is supposed to be, it's like, no, like, this is the movie we've always meant to make. Like, all those other movies, they were shit. This is the one. And it's like, okay, all right, we'll see.
What's that say about the people running the show?
Exactly, right? But see, at the same time, though, they've switched out producers so much. They just said, Jeff Johns, you can fuck off and go back to writing comic books. Like, it was like we don't need your input at all, which I don't even think he ever really got a chance to really implement anything once he did become an executive producer, because Justice League and all that was already in production before he came on. So I don't think we ever saw anything from him being there. But anyway, wait, I'll let you do it because you have the better Japanese accent than I do. We are getting a sequel to the
I don't like that assumption.
Right, like, what the fuck is this? No, we're finally getting a sequel to
Godzilla.
Oh, you put like extra like stank on that one. That was good.
Godzilla. Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry to like the 3 people in Japan that listen to this show. I'm sorry. Yeah, shout out to the international listeners. This may get into some offensive territory, but sorry. We're just culturally insensitive, dumb Americans, so don't mind us.
Yeah.
Entertainment Weekly had like a lot of stuff that like they kind of pumped out, getting ready for Comic-Con coming up. And so, in one of the articles that they had was talking about the new Godzilla movie that's coming out. I think it's going to be called like Godzilla King of Monsters or something to the effect of that. And
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And it's it's basically going to be like a Royal Rumble from the way they're describing it, because they're going to have like Mothra and Rodan, I think, is popping up in there, and pretty much like everybody that Godzilla's probably ever fought in any of his movies is going to be just all in this, and it's going to be just a big thing.
Yep, they're gonna parachute him down into an island. There's gonna be some like poisonous gas that's just gonna like
right. It'll be like fucking like PUBG, and it'll like close them in closer into the island, so they have to fight each other. It's gonna be great. Yeah, but I don't know, the images that they did show weren't of much consequence. They showed the actress who plays 11 from Stranger Things. She's going to be in it. There's also like an image of
Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown. Yep. And then Vera Farmiga, I think is how you say her name. She played the mom of Norman Bates on Bates Motel. She's in it. We brought back our guy, Ken Watanabe, the let them fight. And I feel like they just brought him back to have him say that again, because I'm like,
right?
Because his character,
that's all he did in the trailers, that's for sure. Or even the movie, really.
Yeah, really didn't have any. He was just an exposition, thing. So it was like anytime the characters needed to know what was going on, he would pop up to explain it, and then he'd just go away again. So it was like, all right, I guess we're bringing him back. But we did, I'm pretty sure we did get a new director this time around, which thank fucking God, because I'm going to get to it in a second, because I got some feelings about that first Godzilla movie. But I'm getting this from superherohype.com. It has quoted here, "The world is reacting to Godzilla in the same way we would react to any other terrifying incident, and that we are overreacting." Director Michael... Doherty. Okay. I thought his name was Michael Daughtry, and I was like, from the band? I was like, the fuck? Daughtry directs Godzilla, King of All Monsters. But yeah, he tells the outlet about the film. There's paranoia and endless speculation about whether he is the only one out there, or whether we are threatened by others like his kind. They go on to say the news story follows the heroic efforts of the cryptozoological agency Monarch as its members faced off against a battery of god-sized monsters, including the mighty Godzilla, who collides with Mothra, Rodan, and his ultimate nemesis, the three-headed King Ghidorah. When these ancient superspecies, thought to be mere myths, rise again, they all vie for supremacy, leaving humanity's very existence hanging in the balance. So, this sounds cool.
Right.
The first Godzilla sounded cool though too. The trailers to the first Godzilla, like we talked about this off mic, like this was, my God, I thought this was going to be like the greatest thing ever. I was so hyped for Godzilla, and then I went and saw it, and I swear to God, I felt like I was being punked the whole movie, because every time Godzilla would show up, they'd cut away, and it's like,
oh God,
they'd either cut to a different scene, or they would cut to like him in the background on like a TV 20 feet away from the camera. And it's like, what the hell did I pay to come see? I don't want to see Aaron Taylor Johnson chase, around the city and watch, God, I can't think of the actress's name. All I can think of is her Marvel character.
Something Olsen.
Yeah, one of the Olsen sisters. Like, I don't need to see her, play hospital and shit like that. It's like, I'm here to see Godzilla. So by the third act, when he finally shows up, I was happy. But the first two acts of that movie are boring as shit. And I literally fell asleep in the theater, and I almost never fall asleep in the theater. So that just kind of goes to say, like, I wasn't very entertained. So in this one, I think they listened to people's complaints about that first movie, and they're like, okay, we're going to up the action, so we're going to just throw a whole bunch of monsters in here.
Yeah, you know what we need? More monsters on a TV 20 feet away.
Oh, God.
Because one wasn't enough.
God.
You couldn't tell what it was. It was just this this black blob. And then, now with 20 of them on a TV 20 feet away, it'll make way more sense.
Oh, God. Oh, please don't do that. Don't cock tease me with this shit again. Because oh, God. I at this point, if they pull the same shit that they did in the first Godzilla and do all this cutaway, don't show the action, I'm asking for my money back at the theater. I came here to see Godzilla, and y'all got me watching something completely different. Because I think one of the big selling points for people who maybe weren't all that excited for Godzilla was that movie came out at like peak like Breaking Bad popularity. So when
Yep.
Bryan Cranston is in the trailer, it's like, holy shit. Like, I literally think people thought that Bryan Cranston was gonna fight Godzilla like in the movie.
Right, he was gonna like grow up, and or he's gonna grow up. He was gonna get like blown up and like
right,
have
pull
a
some Ant-Man
fisticuffs with him.
shit. Yeah, he just has a fist fight with Godzilla.
Well, I mean, the marketing was definitely meant to do that. Like his speech was like front and center and everything.
It plays
was
throughout the
very
whole
like
trailer,
ominous
yeah.
and everything.
And that's only like a 2-minute scene in the movie, but yeah.
I mean, I liked it to a certain degree, but it was, I don't know, like, I guess it didn't do enough. It didn't do enough, different enough, innovatively to really just justify its existence past, oh, okay, let's grab some popcorn, and that's coming from like not an Uber fan.
Oh yeah.
I'm just a regular guy who, I watched the old Godzillas with the suits and everything. I watched those, but it was more in passing. It wasn't like something that, like I read up on the mythology or anything
Sure.
like that, or I wasn't like super psyched for it. So it really was like, I think I even red boxed it. So I didn't go see it in the, like, this was not a day one theater for me. So, take that with a grain of salt, but still, and the fact that we get all these like monsters coming together, I just hope, and I'm pretty sure you're the same, I just hope that they focus more on the monsters this time around. Hopefully they do take the criticism to heart and they actually focus on the monsters, because like, if anything, they set it up really good as far as, unfortunately, it took two whole acts to do it, but they set it up really good where it's like you didn't get a good look at him, so that when you finally did, it was just like this really epic moment. It's just maybe it was like 15-20 minutes too long, so when you did finally get there, it's like, oh, okay. But hopefully that is like the equivalent of like Infinity War, where Infinity War came out, it was just like, gut-wrenching the entire time, because it's like you already know all these characters. You don't need to be introduced to them. You don't need to know, what their backstory is, because you already know. Hopefully we can get kind of the same treatment with our monsters. We know these monsters, or we know enough about them to know that, okay, this is a giant moth and this is a 3-headed monster. Let them fight.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm kind of where you are with it. It's like, if obviously your entry point into these movies are always going to be the humans, like they're always going to be some focal point of the human, drama. But if we can parlay that better into what's going on with Godzilla, I think you can find to strike a right balance with it. I mean, that's kind of like the beauty of the Jurassic Park movies. Like, they were able to tell the human story, but you still had enough of the stuff with the dinosaurs and them interacting with the humans, especially in the more recent ones like Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom, where it's like, they have relationships with the dinosaurs now, instead of it just being the dinosaurs are just these wild animals and they're, trying to stay alive. So if they could, I mean, now look, I don't want it to turn into that one cartoon where Godzilla is like a superhero and this kid has like this thing that calls him out of the sea and shit. Like, I don't necessarily need that per se.
Yeah. Oh
my God.
Oh wait, that's Power Rangers.
like I don't need it to turn into that, but maybe, I don't know. I mean, because that seems to be working for Bumblebee. I mean, Transformers, like, the Bumblebee trailer looks good, and they're doing that kind of Iron Giant thing, so maybe they should do that with Godzilla.
Yeah, Bumblebee tuna. Hey, your balls are showing. Bumblebee tuna.
My biggest concern would be, though, is that they're blowing their load too soon. Because I feel like if you throw in, pretty much his biggest nemesises or nemesis, I don't know how you say plural.
Nemesis?
Yeah, I don't know how you do that one.
I don't know.
But, you know, if you throw all them into this pot, it's like, okay, surely he's not going to just maim and injure these, you know, creatures. They're going to die at the end. So it's like, what does he have now after that? I mean, I swear, like, if they go, I was going to say, if they go Mecha Godzilla, I'm done. I'm like, I can barely hold on to my interest in this as it is. If we go Mecha Godzilla, then I feel like when you go Mecha Godzilla is when you have completely run out of ideas and you have nothing else to say. And it's just like, just make another one, but he's a robot. And it's like, all right.
Once you go Mecha, you don't go back.
Or if they could somehow cross over Godzilla into the Pacific Rim franchise, then you might have something.
Boy.
Then you might actually have something. Then I'd be like, okay, like if he could team up with the Jaegers and fight the other monsters, Pacific Rim monsters, that would be dope as shit. But I do know that they are making the Godzilla versus King Kong movie, so maybe that's where they're going.
Wait, King Kong's not going to be in this one?
No. There's a separate movie.
That's so confusing.
I know, right? I know. and I'm pretty sure it's all Universal, right? I think they own the rights to this shit. Or whoever it is.
I think so.
But either way, as long as Godzilla is the focal point of the movie, and I didn't catch it if he was, but I pray to God Aaron Taylor Johnson doesn't pop up anywhere in this movie. But other than that, I will give it another chance, I guess. I mean, they're going to make the movie anyway, and I review movies on my show, so I'm going to fucking see it, but, you know.
Well, see, my thing always is, if you don't want to support it, just don't support it week one. You know, don't give them that week one sale.
Yeah.
If you want to get it, go like week two. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill your podcast or whatever. It's like, you know, I am a huge component of, like, vote with your wallet. And even though I might be super excited for something, it's like, yeah, I'll at least go week two, you know, so that they see how disinterested people are, because that's what really counts. What happens afterwards is, you know, they always expect it to go down after that anyway. So
that's fair, because I mean, that's kind of what, you know, the people who hate Star Wars right now did with Solo. It's like, hey, we just won't go see it opening weekend, and that'll be enough to hurt it to where, you know, Disney will step back and go like, oh, we might want to rethink this shit. It's like, hey guys, I think we got a problem here. Oh. All right, that is it for the show. Hey guys, go check us out on Podbean. They are one of the best podcasting apps out there. Podbean has been a leader in the field of podcasting for well over 10 years, developing innovative tools for podcasters and podcast listeners. You can download it on the App Store or get it on Google Play. But remember, as always, you can find us at our home, onegiantleapforgeeks.libsyn.com, or on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, or really anywhere else you get your podcast. Make sure to show us some love, so go ahead and like, subscribe, rate, follow, review, and all that shit. And if you do have any questions that you want us to answer on the show, any comments, criticisms, or if you just want to say hi, you can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, and on Facebook, Reddit, Pinterest, Tumblr, and Instagram. Just search for One Giant Leap for Geeks. Bye!